everybody, welcome. We are here talking today about a significant change that's happening in our industry. And I'm here with Tom Gile. I'm Vicki Gile, and this is Musselwhite with Oregon Home Mortgage. So let's get into it. Let's get into what the media is going to scare everyone with, and let's talk about some of the things that we see potentially coming down the pike, how we're thinking we might deal with it, what might happen in on the mortgage side, things like that. So, you have a thought? Want to start us off?
Going to start us off? Yes, I will. So, yes, recently there was a civil trial that went through, and basically NAR, National Association of Realtors, along with some of the big brokerages, were being sued, and actually, so they found for the plaintiffs in this case, and NAR was basically faced with a $1.8 billion judgment, which obviously that is an eye-popping judgment when you look at that number.
And
so
will be a headline. Will be the
all
headline
over
on
the
the
news.
news.
Yes.
Will be the headline on the news.
But really, just kind of boiling it down to kind of into the nutshell of it is that saying that the industry hasn't been transparent about how buyer's agents get paid, because there's in a transaction there's a buyer's agent and there's a seller's agent, and the way it works right now, or has been for the last 30 years or so, the buyer's agent gets paid from the seller's side of the transaction.
When we sit down and take a listing, we actually talk to the listing agent. We are the listing agent to the seller about what we charge as a listing agent, what they can offer as a buyer's agent, what they want to offer to a buyer's agent. That's a discussion that I've been having for the almost 19 years that I've been in the industry. Same thing every single time.
Yep.
It comes off of your side, Mr. Seller. Here's what I charge to list a property, and here's what, you get to choose what you want to offer a buyer's agent. Mm-hmm. It's definitely the conversation that I have in every listing.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but things are changing.
I think it's also important to note that the way things have been done are the way they've been done for the 30 years I've been doing what I do. Okay, so somebody thought they came up with a better mousetrap or a better way of doing things. The market will find a way. The market will decide how it's going to digest and deal with this. There are aspects of the judgment or the settlement that haven't been fully vetted and how they're going to impact the market. Negative impacts in the market.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's lots of things that haven't been settled about this. Right. This is brand new, and we just kind of wanted to get out there and let people know that you're going to see these headlines. Yeah. But again, it's that conversation, the conversation with us, the conversation with mortgage, and how we see this affecting what's going on. Yeah. And as an agent in the market, we've seen all kinds of different models of real estate, even within the traditional sense of one agent to the next agent and how we all do business. Yeah. There's lots of different ways to do this. Mm-hmm. And I think that the consumer, our buyers and our sellers, just like with anything else, have choices. Sure. And they're going to make those choices based on how each individual piece does business. Yeah. And I don't think that's going to change. I think fundamentally that is really still what we're looking at.
Yeah, I think what we're going to see in the short term, especially, we're going to see much higher use of a buyer agent agreement or
like a listing agreement.
Yeah, like a listing agreement.
And those have been in our industry.
That yes,
this whole
I
time.
have a relationship with the buyer has a relationship with me, and we're agreeing on and defining how I get paid.
Right. And what
who's going to pay me and how I'm going to get paid. Yep. It may continue on for some period of time where the seller may continue to pay me, but we've defined it. Or, things may change down the road, and that may pivot. We don't know.
Or a combination. We just don't know how it's going to work. Right. But fundamentally, the consumer is going to get choices, as they've had the whole time. Yeah. So I'm a little confused as to why we had a lawsuit, but that's for another day, and another Vicki might come out if that happens. So that's always been the case. That piece of this has never changed. Mm-hmm. Never changed. They have options. Yeah. There's always options. There's always been options.
I've only worked a handful of deals over time that the buyer was paying a buyer's agent commission. You know, it's an additional expense that as a lender we have to look at and factor into the transaction.
Right.
I'm thinking back to the days when there was a lot of short sales going on, and there were short sale fees that people were trying to finance or get lenders to include.
Yeah.
We'll see if, when, and how lending makes any adjustments to help deal with this change.
Yeah.
I think it's important to note that it's going to be appealed, you know,
Yes.
and it'll take its time to go through the
Absolutely,
court systems
yeah.
and see how it plays out in the appeal process. Just because there was an award and a judgment for the plaintiff this time,
Yeah.
you know, that doesn't
We
mean
don't
it's
know
going to
what'll
hold up
happen.
other things.
We don't know anything.
No.
We really
Yeah.
don't have any final answers on anything or,
No.
or directions that things are going in, and we're not trying to pretend that we do. It's just, again, trying to get out in front of the people that
Yeah.
that want to talk to us and say and want the facts
Yeah.
as much as we know them, or what we as people in the industry for a long period of time see coming, and how we intend to adjust and help continue to help our clients.
Yeah.
That's really what
I
it's
think
about.
we will see some small things, even as it goes through the appeals process, though. I think we'll
Change.
see some changes
Yeah.
in just the way things are done. I'm going to go back to that agreement, for example. I think that's going to become a bigger part of doing business going forward, regardless of how this shakes out through the courts, that the industry is going to be put these agreements in place as a way to be more transparent to the seller, or to the buyers, excuse me.
So let's talk about, for instance, this has been a thing in our industry, this buyer agreement. Some people use them, some people don't.
Right.
But let's talk about an example of that. I'm an example person, I'm super visual.
Yeah.
So it's a for sale by owner.
Okay.
We represent people in for sale by owner purchases.
Yeah.
There is no contract, like when we put it in our MLS, with a for sale by owner who just sticks the sign in their yard and says, hey, and we have a buyer who said, hey, I saw this house. Can you represent me? Yes, absolutely, I can represent you. A couple things happen, right?
Right.
You contact the seller and you say, are you offering a courtesy to brokers?
Yes.
No, I'm not. Okay. So that means, Mr. Buyer's agent, you're a professional, you do a job, you're representing your buyer, you need to have an income, you need to get paid. So then that's a conversation on your buyer's agreement with your buyer. How are you going to cover this, Mr. Buyer, for me? How am I going to get paid? I want to work for you, I want to help you, but I don't work for free. I don't know anyone who does. We all have mortgages to pay, children to put through school, people to feed. This is not new. So that already exists. That situation that we're talking about already exists. So we're just going to have to find a new way to figure it out. And that's, you know, that's really the crux of it, I think. But like in any end, you know, I said there could be another Vicky that comes out. There's frustrations. There's frustrations on our part. That why is this happening? We don't understand.
I feel the
it's
same
happening.
way, and I'm not a realtor. You know, I've been a
Yeah.
lender for 30
Right.
years, and it's like, well, I don't really know that it was broken. Of course, they made an argument that it was, and it prevailed with the people that were in front of that.
Absolutely.
Fine.
Yeah.
But the people that made that decision aren't industry professionals, and they haven't thought through all the potential ramifications.
Yeah.
Right,
Just like anything else. I
Yeah.
think that, you know, people try and right a ship that they think is not correct.
Yeah.
We certainly thought it was working okay.
Yeah.
So they try and correct the ship, but because we don't all know everything, and we can't always think it through, it needs it needs more than one person to be able to do that, a committee or whatever you want to call it. But I think it's an important conversation to have, and I think that you as consumers, we would love to hear your thoughts on it. What do you think about all of it? So make a comment or text, call, or email us. We are all happy to chat about it. So hope everybody has a great day, and we'll see you next time.